Welcome to the second video in the series. This video is going to focus on longer answers, specifically 6-mark questions. If you haven't watched the first video, it may be an idea to watch that now, as it gives a good insight into some of the keywords you will need to know. If you've already watched it, let's move on. Can you remember what these keywords mean? Pause the video and try to write down their definitions. Still stuck? Try to match up these definitions. Okay, so describe means give a detailed account. Explain means describe, giving reasons and causes. And evaluate means give an opinion, exploring good and bad points. These are the key words we're going to focus on in this video. Let's try the first question. Pause the video and give yourself some time to read it. In this video, you're being asked to explain the reasons behind a car hitting maximum speed. You're asked to do this in terms of the forces acting on the car. So what are the main forces acting on the car? The two main forces are resistance and thrust. But how do these forces interact? You will need to say 4 things, as it's worth 4 marks. Make sure you think in the order that things happen when you start to move a car. Pause the video and think about what you would write. In a car, there is always a maximum forward force that will cause the car to accelerate to top speed. This is called thrust. Resistance works against thrust, and it also increases with speed. It increases until thrust and resistance are equal. This means there is now no acceleration past this point. That answer would give you 4 marks. Let's move on to a planning question. Pause the video and read through it. This would be worth 6 marks. This question is asking you to describe a plan for the investigation. They've tried to point you in the right direction by saying you need to write how to use the equipment, the measurements that should be made, how resistance can be found, and how to make sure the results are valid. And the first thing you need to think about is how you would set up the investigation. And you would need to apply electric current and read voltage and current, then gradually heat the water to different temperatures using a thermometer to get it to temperatures around 50, 60, 70. Make sure you use a range of temperatures. And then to calculate resistance, you would need to find voltage and current at each temperature and rearrange the formula voltage equals current times resistance to get voltage divided by current equals resistance to calculate it. Then you could plot a graph of resistance against temperature to calculate those other temperatures using the graph. In order to make the experiment valid, you need to make sure you remove the heat source before taking a reading and then stir every time to equalise the temperature around the whole beaker. This would be how you keep your experiment controlled. To answer 6-mark questions of any type, it's important to remember this success criteria. You have to read the question, identify the keywords, link keywords in order to construct a simple plan, construct your sentences using those keywords, underline your keywords to communicate your scientific knowledge, and then proofread your work. So let's try a question. Pause the video and read through it. What are the key words in this question? They are asking you to evaluate and conclude. In order to evaluate, you need to explore good and bad points of both methods, and to conclude, you need to give your final answer with reasons. With the quality of written communication questions, it's not as simple as saying 6 things. You have to give a clear and detailed comparison of both systems and then give a clear conclusion. Aim to say at least 2 positives and 2 negatives of each process, and then give your final opinion. When you give your opinion, you must state at least 1 positive for your choice and why it is better than the other one, even if you repeat yourself. Pause the video and have a go at the question. Here are some of the key points that you could have said. For biogas, it's renewable, doesn't depend on the weather, uses waste products, and is cheaper to buy and install. But it adds carbon dioxide to the atmosphere and contributes to the greenhouse effect or global warming. For wind turbines, they're renewable, the energy resource is free, it does not produce any carbon dioxide, however it depends on the weather, which means it sometimes doesn't produce enough and it's more expensive to buy and install. Remember, when you write these, you'll need to link them together with red hot English, and that's what we're going to tackle next. Your opinion can be in favour of either side, but must use relevant points to back it up. Let's link some of these comments on the biogas method. It's best to start with the good things and write these in a sentence or two. This could look something like this. So biogas is a good method because it is renewable, it does not depend on the weather and uses waste products. You then need to highlight the bad things about this to show the examiner you're weighing it up. This could look something like this. However, it is a bad method because it releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and contributes to the greenhouse effect. You would need to do this for both methods. And then you write a conclusion that weighs up the good and bad points whilst mentioning some of the good and bad points. This could look something like this. I think biogas is a better method because it uses waste products and is not dependent on the weather like wind turbines are. So the key points in this video are: remember your command words and what they mean, look for the number of marks for clues on how much you need to say, and when evaluating, give good and bad points with a reasoned conclusion. Don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. House Science and tweet me if you are stuck. Thank you.